Hey everyone, and welcome back to Reese Rambles, my weekly podcast all about the latest comings and goings, movings and shakings, and all the rest of it in the worlds of vintage and retro computing, technology and gaming. I hope you're all doing well out there. It is very cold here in the UK. I arrived at the studio earlier and it was 8 degrees C in here. And I must admit, I did come up with a bit of a life hack this week. I am cheating the system. I bought some fan heaters. I've got 2 little fan heaters and they are on smart plugs here in the studio. So if I choose, I can actually turn them on just a few minutes before I get here. I only live a couple of minutes away and it doesn't take long for them to kind of preheat the room, which is really nice. I do have the heating that's built into the aircon unit thing, but I don't have any remote control of that and it takes forever to warm up. And yeah, it's just pretty much useless. So at least with these fan heaters, I can preheat the space just a little bit, just for a couple of minutes, just for my own comfort and whatnot. But I forgot to turn them on today. I had a lot of stuff to do. I was off running another errand and I came straight here and then realised I'd forgot to kind of preheat the studio. But anyway, that's all by the by. There is snow on the ground in a lot of the UK. We've been lucky here in the Midlands and it's all pretty much cleared, although it is all quite icy and nice out there. So do be careful if you have a lot of snow where you are. But anyway, you're not here for the weather, you're here for the retro game news. And of course, there has been one really big thing this week, which has been all over the social media sites. So many people have sent this to me, knowing that it was going to be of interest to me in particular, I think it's fair to say. So let's just dive straight in with this one. I'm not even going to do it as a separate story because this is so cool. And my own little unique twist on this, rather than just showing you the video that's been doing the rounds, let's actually play it. So this is Doom, the Gallery Experience, and it is a new mod for Doom over on itch.io. It's just the first level, E1M1, so it's just a custom level, I guess. And to read from the description, Doom, the Gallery Experience was created as an art piece designed to parody the wonderfully pretentious world of gallery openings. In this experience, you will be able to walk around and appreciate some fine art while sipping some wine and enjoying the complimentary hors d'oeuvres in the beautifully renovated and reimagined E1M1 of id Software's Doom, 1993. E1M1, of course, the first map, episode 1, map 1. So we've got the controls here, and you can also play it with a gamepad and indeed on a touchscreen mobile device if you like, so there's no excuse to not go and check this out. Of course, it will be linked down in the usual places. If you're watching this on YouTube, it will be down in the description, or if you're listening on one of the podcast platforms, hopefully it picks up the description from those as well. I know it certainly does on Spotify, but you can play this in the browser, so we'll just click through. And it's the mouse and WASD and the kind of the usual controls that you would expect. And just to describe this for the benefit of my audio listeners, we've got Doom Guy here looking very sharp. I don't know if he's got a bit of a fresh haircut, a bit of a fresh fade going on, or if that's just my imagination. But what more importantly, he has these kind of half-rimmed, very sophisticated looking glasses on. And he's also holding a glass of red wine. And you can take a little sip from the wine. So there we go, the fire button, just a little tasty sip of wine. Oh no, there we go, another sip of wine. Yeah, on the UI, some of the things have changed. So we have drink, we have wealth, and we have cheese on there. And as you can see, the weapons have been changed to wine, beer, gin, and water. So we can take a little wander around the level. Now, as you can see, it looks very different. Rather than being grey and dreary, as you might expect, it's had a fresh lick of paint, so it's all bright white, all light and airy. We've got this wood panelling on the floor. We've got some proper glass in the windows for the first time ever. And perhaps the most obvious addition is, well, the art, these artworks that we have around. So you can also go around, you can pick up cash and you can pick up cheese, you can pick up hors d'oeuvres. Not quite sure why the cheese comes in bottles. Maybe it's that. Oh, it's not a bottle, is it? It's like a little cube of cheese with a little stick in the top. Oh, I see. I thought they were bottles at first. You know, like the health pickups. But anyway. And the cool thing about this is you can walk up to the artworks and you can press space and it will tell you what it is and the region, the period you like, the category, and the date as well. So this is a bronze Heracles. It's Greek, and it's from the 3rd to 2nd century BCE. But you can click on this, and it takes you to the Met website. So this is the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. And you've got loads of pictures of these. So these are all real artworks that have been digitized and added to Doom. And read a bit of the backstory behind them, a bit of the history behind them as well. So it's actually educational. And there's loads of artworks in here, and they are all sorted by category as well. So we are in the Greek room at the moment. We've got the Renaissance room, which is where we start. Lovely big, what is that? Statue of Poseidon there, is it? Oh, Neptune, of course, Neptune. Possibly Italian, 16th century. And again, you can click on that, go through to the info, but we're not going to look at all of those. We've got paintings, we've got statues. We can go through to the next room. Got some Egyptian stuff in here as well. What's all of this? The Shabti of Penedjem the First from the third intermediate period, circa 1070 to 1032 BC. Oh no, I've clicked the wrong button. That's the download button. Anyway, yes, you can download this and play this, and you can also make a donation to the developer as well as part of that to Bobatili. So very cool. Oh, a little wine top up there. We'll just top up our wine. Very nice. So we come through to the Japanese section here. This, of course, is the infamous first kind of imp encounter. And yeah, the secrets are in here, so we can go through. We can go to the outside area, pick up some more wine and some more cash on the way. And there is a big old wheel of cheese out here, so we'll just pick this up. Picked up the cheese wheel. Very nice. We are now 90% cheese, which sounds like my bit like me over my Christmas break. And just the textures and stuff on here are just really nice. It's just delightful. We've got proper grass and stuff outside. If you've seen my video that went out on the main channel this week, you will know that I'm very much in the mood for a nice bit of level design, a nice bit of texture work, a bit of sprite work. It's all good. So, but just before we get to the exit, of course, as you would expect from an art gallery, we have the gift shop. Oh dear, tripping over my words today. Like I say, this is the second take, so I'm getting a bit delirious. But yeah, we have the gift shop, so you can actually you can buy the game Doom: The Gallery Experience for $257. So we'll buy that, shall we? Very nice. Yes, and you can buy these other things, and they disappear from the shelf as well. So there's a mini sarcophagus for $200. I can't afford that, unfortunately. What's this? A calendar? Oh, $64 for a calendar. We'll buy that. So yeah, there's this whole shop mechanic, which is, of course, is new and has been added very nicely, very seamlessly to the game. What's this? Collectible teddy bears. We've got a teddy bear. Is that a bunny rabbit there? Oh, that's Daisy. Very nice indeed. And is that Neptune? A little statue of Neptune that we can buy for $428. Blimey. But anyway, so if we go through into the exit, there is one more thing that I discovered. Of course, this triggers another secret to be revealed if you know your Doom. And if we come back round, this is a bit of a spoiler, by the way, but I've pretty much shown you the entire thing. But we are now in Galactor's hideout, and I have no idea what this is about. But the drinks have changed to Blue Ribbon, so we can take a swig of that. And this is Galactor. Apparently, can't interact with him in any way, so I'm not quite sure what he's about, but there we go. And there's also some cash, a huge stash of cash in there belonging to Galactor. The other secret doesn't seem to work. I've tried triggering it. You can't run in this game, so who knows what's going on with that. But yeah. So then you just go through to the exit, and it will give you a bit of a running total. All of your scores and things. We've got this lovely artistic scene as well at the end. 6% of the insights enjoyed, so plenty more there for your perusal. 77% of the items. We spent $321 on TAT from the gift shop. Discovered 67% of the secrets, and it took 4 minutes and 16. So that is Doom: The Gallery Experience. As previously mentioned, you can play that in your browser and indeed on your mobile device. I love it. Thank you to everyone who has sent this to me. I think it's a really brilliant mod, and if you want to download it, you can also donate a couple of dollars to the author as well. So, cool project. Enjoyed that one quite a lot. Let's get into the stories for this week. Taki Udon is a name that you will no doubt be familiar with if you've been following these rambles for any length of time. Of course, he is a tech YouTuber, and I have been reporting on his work for probably the past year. But of course, it's not his videos that I'm interested in specifically. It's his hardware projects. So Taki created a clone of the DE10 Nano, which is the board at the heart of the Mister project, the Mister FPGA. Of course, the hardware-based emulation system. I'm going to use that word emulation. I know it upsets people, but that supports all of those cores for all of those classic computers and consoles. He cloned that board and released his own version at a fraction of the cost. I think it was a third of the cost. And despite people's hang-ups and various reservations about that project, they are getting into people's hands as previously reported. The batches are selling out as soon as they go on sale, and they are being very well received indeed. So huge success, that project. My hat is off to you, Taki. And it looks like he's about to do it again because, of course, as part of that whole thing, he announced that he was going to be releasing some other related products as well. And we have had some news this week about one of those, about the next one. So let's check it out. This is the world's first affordable FPGA gaming console, according to Taki, inspired by the PSOne. So it supports PSOne games, memory cards, and controllers. It's got analog and digital output. It's got NFC, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth, and it is compatible with the Mister as well. So this actually runs Mister cores, which is fantastic to see. And also there is a version that will support original PSOne discs. So it says here, disk support not pictured. This is a picture of the non-disk drive version, I guess, if you like. And it says here, pricing starts at $149 for founders and friends. And there is indeed a link that you can go to sign up as a founder to hopefully get your hands on one of these. I guess it's going to be a limited run. Again, the name is proving to be a bit controversial, and there has been some discussion around this. But let's have a look at the hardware first. So this is, as mentioned, based on the PSOne. So if you're familiar with that console, really nice little rounded design. It's got the memory card slots and the controller slots on the front, and they use the SNAC standard, which is a way of interfacing original controllers with the Mister project using the GPIO pins. So there's no kind of USB involved, and the kind of the latency and stuff that would introduce. It's got the two buttons on the top, so we've got a power and an eject button. I guess the eject button's probably going to bring up the menu in Mister if you've got the non-disc version, and it's just a really nice looking thing. One thing that quite a few people have spotted is at the bottom, in the bottom right-hand corner, it says SS1 by Retro Remake, and people have been quite concerned that this might be the name because obviously SS, I mean, it's a combination of letters that has certain connotations in certain parts of the world. And Taki has kind of qualified some people, quite a lot of people have raised this in the replies here over on Blue Sky. And someone's saying call it the Super Sony, of course reminiscent of the SuperSEGA project, which, yes, there has also been some news on this week, and I will talk about in a moment. But there's a question here. I don't understand, is SS1 a code name or the definitive product name? In Europe, SS1 won't go down well. And there's just a reply here that says code name. So hopefully, as further clarified, SS is the abbreviation for the full name, and no. There's another name, R²1, which apparently is just a code name, and that's not going to be staying. Although I actually really like that name, and I do like the kind of rainbow logo on the top of the console as well. So shame that's going away, but of course Taki does have a previous form in that department. So who am I to question it? It's his product, and it looks fantastic. So who am I to argue? He's also posted the original pitch from April last year as well. So this is the R²1. It says here MSRP $100. Of course, that's gone up to $150, which is fair enough. It's still ridiculously cheap for what it is. It's a D10 clone with 128 megabytes of 130 megahertz RAM on board as well, which is great to see. It's got the RAM expansion built in. Passive or active cooling, analog video output, VGA component and composite. It has a USB hub, so as well as supporting the original PlayStation controllers, and I will say the PlayStation controllers are a really excellent choice, but I'm guessing being SNAC, they'll probably only work in the PlayStation core. I think I'm right in saying that. But of course it has USB controller support as well, so there's one USB port on the front and 3 on the back, apparently. It has the power and reset buttons, as you might expect, and it has 2 user SNAC ports with a PSOne controller and memory card support. It uses a 5-volt, 5-amp PSU, which is similar to other solutions like the Mister Multisystem, for example. But unlike those other solutions on the market, this is an all-in-one thing. So it actually has the FPGA chip built into the board. It's an all-in-one kind of console solution rather than a consoleized kind of base that you slot the DE10 board into. So that's a very important distinction. So a really cool looking project. Taki is answering some questions and things in the replies here. There's also a lot of speculation and stuff like that. So well worth going and checking out. Of course, that will be linked in the usual places. And there's also a link to the website to go and sign up as a founder member and subscribe to the newsletter. So as soon as those pre-orders are available to order, you will get an email notification about that. And who can argue at that price? $149. I mean, that is... to be fair, if it was anyone else, I wouldn't believe it. But as it's Taki Udon, and he has achieved this once in the past, I think it's definitely one to watch, and a really cool looking project. It looks so cool under the TV, wouldn't it? So that's that. I am a huge fan of the original Xbox, which is a fact that you're probably well aware of if you were listening last week in the context of that whole Halo leak. And of course, I talked about my my fond memories of LAN parties and things like that playing on that console. But it wasn't all about first-person shooters for me back in the day. No, there was another genre which I think it's fair to say I actually played quite a bit more, and that was racing games. So stuff like Outrun 2, which I actually got with my Xbox. There was the original Burnout games. Forza Motorsport, of course, started on the OG Xbox. And Project Gotham Racing. I love those games so much. May they rest in peace. I will never forgive you, Microsoft, for what you did to Bizarre Creations and to that series. But anyway, moving on from that, of course, one of the biggest, most popular kind of... well, it has a bit of a cult following still, but one of the biggest names in racing on the original Xbox was Need for Speed Underground 2, of course, the hip younger brother of the Need for Speed series. So you could pimp your ride, you can put neon lights and stuff under your car, you could put the fancy chrome rims and things on it, body kits and all the rest of it. And all right, I wasn't really a part of that scene. I think it's probably... I think that was probably quite obvious, but I was a big fan of that game. It was actually a really decent racing game, and it was a lot of fun kind of pimping out the various cars and making them look cool, all the pearlescent paint jobs and stuff that you could do as well. And it's a game that has never had an official remaster because... well, I guess licensing is a huge problem. There were a lot of kind of real life car models in that, and you've got to deal with all the licensing around that. And the soundtrack, it was really well known for its kind of banging hip hop soundtrack as well. I actually really enjoyed the soundtrack as well at the time. So yeah, unfortunately, a game that's kind of faded into obscurity. But I am very pleased to report that it is now back in an unofficial capacity. So this has been a bit of an ongoing passion project. It's a single lone developer that's working on this, and they're essentially he's essentially porting the entire game to the Unreal Engine 5. Now, as you can see from the graphics here, if you're watching this on YouTube, there's still, I think it's fair to say, still a little bit of work to go on that side of things. It's perhaps not pushing the engine to its limits, but massively impressive what has been achieved here so far. I mean, as you can see, you can customize the paint jobs on the cars. You can add the various upgrades and add-ons and things that you could do back in the day. It's got the whole paint system implemented. It shows off a bit later on the different wheels and things and various bits and bobs. And the actual racing aspect of it is working as well. So there are actual races that you can go and take part in as part of the game. And that's all up and running and working as well. So really promising so far. And I think the big news this week is that you can actually download this. So you can download it and you can play it yourself. You need to go to a Discord server, and there are instructions on this video. So I will say this video that I'm playing now is on a channel called RPG Gameplay. And from what I could see, this was the first video that was uploaded to YouTube of this recent release, which is why I've gone with this one. But yeah, it's really comprehensive, especially for, such a kind of amateur effort as well. But the video also goes into detail about how you can go and join the Discord server and sign up for updates and obviously download the latest builds and things like that as well. So well worth watching. It's 8 minutes and 10 seconds long, so there's really, not much time to take out of your day to go and learn all about this. But yeah, if you want to download that and have a play with it, the instructions are in the video. The link will be in the usual places, as you might expect. And just really cool to see such a kind of cult classic game and a personal favourite of mine coming back. And I really do hope, I think it's EA that own the rights to Need for Speed, isn't it? I really hope that they don't get sued out of existence. As mentioned, various licensing reasons why this might not become an official release, which is unfortunate, but hopefully it continues to fly under the radar for the time being. And this project gets finished and a bit more polished, but very promising so far. Links in the usual places. Go check it out. Some more developments in the world of the SuperSEGA Saga this week, and I'm getting pretty sick of reporting on this thing, but I've reported on it so far, so I may as well let you know about the latest developments as well. By the way, on that note, if you do want to keep up with all of this stuff as it unfolds, Ian Lee, yep, that Ian Lee off the telly, is doing a fantastic job of covering all of this stuff in real time over on his channel. And we will take a look at his latest couple of videos in a second. But just as a quick refresher, the Super Sega was a console that promised to, and I say was, and I am talking about it in the past tense because it is very much a dead project now. I think it's fair to say. It was a console that promised to offer compatibility with all of the original cartridges and optical discs from a range of Sega consoles from the 90s. So you could play your Master System cartridges, your Mega Drive cartridges, or Genesis if you prefer, Saturn and Dreamcast discs, and it promised to offer hardware-level FPGA compatibility with all of those consoles. They took pre-orders from people. People paid €3, I think it was, to pre-order one. Then apparently that was actually pre-authorization for them to take a load more money, so they went and took €400 off all of those people completely out of the blue. They showed a very dodgy-looking prototype that a lot of people looked at and decided wouldn't actually be viable at all. There was no way that this thing could actually work. Then what happened after that? Then the guy behind the project, Alejandro, showed up in a Lamborghini to demo the thing again and try to prove that it wasn't fake. Then he got sued by Sega. Then he had to sell his Lamborghini. Then he had to give everyone refunds as part of the whole legal thing with Sega. And that brings us to today, I think. I did actually previously mention that the refunds had been issued and that Alejandro had actually shown a screenshot supposedly proving that the refunds were going out to people. And I took that in good faith and reported on that, which, to be fair, was a mistake in my part, knowing the history of this project. The latest development, if we go over to Ian Lee's channel, for a start, Alejandro disappeared for a bit. Because it turns out that those refunds didn't happen. People who were supposed to get them are starting to report that actually the money hasn't materialized yet. So he disappeared and went into hiding. And the latest video is apparently Alejandro posting a video from his sick bed claiming, oh, I've been really ill and that's the reason that nothing's been happening. And yeah, like I say, Ian Lee has covered this over on his channel. So that's the latest development in the Super Sega world. People didn't actually get the refunds that they were promised and that we were supposedly shown proof of. Alejandro, the guy behind the project, sold his Lamborghini. He's gone into hiding, and now it turns out that actually he hadn't gone into hiding at all. He was just really ill. So make of that what you will. I'm struggling to keep up. So, from one rather unfortunate and negative Sega story this week to a much more positive one, I'm very pleased to report. And just full disclosure before we go into this one, this is kind of a friend of mine, kind of someone I talk to on Discord all the time. But I wanted to give this project a shout out, and also the wider project that it is kind of a part of, because it is a really important thing in the world of retro hardware preservation. And this group are doing fantastic work in that world as well. So this is a video all about the SEGA Neptune, which dropped earlier today. Now, the SEGA Neptune, and I must admit I'm not all that familiar with the story behind this, but the SEGA Neptune was a project by Sega to integrate the Mega Drive and the 32X add-on into one console. So you had the Mega Drive and then the 32X slotted into the top of it, and it added extra capabilities. I think it was a 32-bit like CPU and stuff and extra RAM. And there were a few games released that took advantage of this. And Sega actually made prototypes of this thing. They designed all of the hardware. They, sent pictures out to the gaming press. There were announcements and all sorts. And then the thing was cancelled, this all-in-one console, this SEGA Neptune thing. So years later, a group called the Board Folk have picked this up and decided to run with it and actually make it a real thing that you can build at home. So this group has already preserved a load of motherboards for a load of classic computers and consoles. And we'll talk about a bit about that in a second when we check out their GitHub. But this specific project, so you can get this actually fabricated by your favourite PCB fabricator if you so choose, and you can also get the case made as well. They've drawn up all of the original case for it. Very authentic to the original designs. Of course, you need an original Mega Drive or Genesis to harvest those custom chips from. So if you have one that's damaged, but the the custom chips are still okay, you can transplant them onto this board, as well as the 32X chips as well, and build yourself your very own, very highly accurate, highly authentic SEGA Neptune. And as you can see from all of this, it's working, it's done, it's a complete project. It's all kind of demoed here in this video. There is a link to the, I mean, look at how cool that is. A really nice piece of design, isn't it? They've done a really, really nice job with this. It supports all of the original Mega Drive games, all of the 32X games, and also, just shown towards the end of this video, I think we're about to get to this in a second, it also connects to your Mega CD as well. If you have the Sega Mega CD, it will also interface with that as per the original console. So how clever is this thing? So just going through to their GitHub here, just some of the other computers and consoles that they've done. So they've done the PC Engine, the PC Engine Duo, the Neo Geo, the Commodore PC-10. I think that was featured over on RMC. So a really, really rare Commodore PC, and they actually took the board from that and reverse engineered it and put the PCB files and stuff out there so people can actually make their own replacement boards for that. But this project specifically is about the Neptune. So yeah, if you want to build yourself a SEGA Neptune, you can go to their GitHub, you can download all of the files, send them off to the appropriate fabrication places, and yeah, find yourself a donor console for the custom chips and build yourself an actual SEGA Neptune. So how cool is that? Not quite sure what their plans are for the future. Maybe they'll be tackling. Maybe there's there was some Atari stuff like the Panther and the Jaguar Duo, the Jaguar 2, stuff like that. Maybe they could tackle some more unreleased projects along those lines. Maybe. But you never know. It'd be interesting if someone does FPGA versions of the custom chips from these, so you can actually build an entirely brand new one from scratch. But yeah, such a cool project this, and just wanted to give it a bit of a shout out. And that new video that dropped on YouTube earlier today jogged my memory as to it being a thing, and I think it's a thing that should be more widely known. So that's the SEGA Neptune. And that brings us quite neatly around to my regular video of the week feature, of course, wherein I recommend a video that I have seen in the past week here on the old YouTubes that has entertained or inspired me in some way. And this one is very much on topic as well. So this is vintage, this is retro gaming, this is 90s PC DOS gaming, and a game that's very dear to my heart, one that is a personal favourite of mine. But I don't think I covered this specific aspect of it before, so quite an interesting angle here. This is all to do with speedrunning. So this is a compilation of Quake speedruns. It's on a channel called Quake Done Quick. And yeah, so these are speedruns. They're by different people. This isn't one person, and this isn't one continuous run through the game either. This is just kind of the fastest, like the world record holders for each individual level in Quake. It's all 4 episodes. You can see the entire game here completed in real time in 14.5 minutes. Just taking advantage of, some of those kind of glitches and exploits and things, the really precise timing that's needed with some of the grenade jumps and things that you can see them using here. And my hat is off to these people. I know that's a phrase I use quite a lot, but respect where it is due to these very talented people. It's not something that I have any experience of, and not something I've ever really kind of managed to get my head around, these speedrunning techniques. I mean, it must be a huge amount of work and practice and kind of training that goes into mastering these. And it's also nice to see Quake again. At any opportunity I have to check out the old girl running, and it's a great game. So yeah, I this was on my recommendations on YouTube for quite a while, and I finally got around to clicking on it just the other day, and I'm really pleased that I did, because just so cool to see this, and I find myself transfixed. I'm sat here now and I'm struggling to get my words out because I'm watching it again. Just kind of mesmerised by the just the movement and the skill on display here. So anyway, I'll stop waffling. That's the video. It's a 14.5 minute long video over on Quake Done Quick, all about speedrunning the original Quake, and it's really fascinating to see. Really good stuff. And there we go. That's this week's Ramble in the bag. again. I'm about 3 hours late for my lunch. So let's get this wrapped up. Just a very quick mention of this week's main channel release. It's all about first-person shooters on the Game Boy Advance. So I mean, this is my original Game Boy Advance that I've owned from new, and I also owned a couple of first-person shooters on it back in the day, which I do talk about in the video. And I decided to revisit it recently via the medium of Mister. Basically discovered that there were only 13 FPS games released on the Game Boy Advance. So I thought, well, why not try all of them and see what they're like? And I must admit, I was quite pleasantly surprised in a lot of cases. I really didn't think that it would be a genre that would work particularly well on this platform, but actually most of them were pretty decent, at least, and a couple of them were genuinely very good, including Duke Nukem Advance, which I am showing here in this video. So that's my main channel release. That will be linked down below in the description and all of the usual places if you are listening to this on the podcasting platforms and you want to go and check that out. It's quite a long one. It's 28 minutes and 35 seconds, but it is very information dense, and you do get to see some quite cool games that you may not have come across before. So one that I very much enjoyed putting together, but let's pick something a bit easier for this week's video, shall we, and not overdo it again. So thank you ever so much once more for joining me for this ramble. It's been a lot of fun to put together twice, and now I need to very quickly edit this and get it out the door, and hopefully it'll be ready for you on time. So that's all I have for you for this week. I shall hopefully see you again at the same time, same place next week. That's it. Bye.